Welcome to the Sleepover.Podcast, a sacred space created for the girls to have some much needed girl talk centered around everything healing, self-development, faith, and self-love. I'm your host, Rakisha Cox. On this podcast, we'll have raw and honest heart-to-heart conversations that allow us to come undone and be our most vulnerable selves as we navigate through the dark waters of our 20s and 30s. Honestly, boldly, and faithfully. So put on your pajamas, grab your favorite drink, your favorite girls, and come with an open heart and honest mind because it's time for the sleepover. Oh, I hope it doesn't get messy, but friendship breakups are messy, so I guess we just expect the mess. We're just gonna try to keep the messy to a minimum. But first, before we have our sleepover girl talk, let's catch up. What have you ladies been up to? How are you doing? The weather is so much nicer outside. Are y'all outside? Are y'all throwing off and not ready to be outside yet? Like, what's going on? What's the vibes? Have you painted your toes? Have you shaved your legs? I personally like to stay low-key for the first few nice weekends. I let the people have their fun and get their crazy out until they're used to the weather, because something about the first nice weekend in the Chicago area makes people crazy. Like, they drive crazy, they act crazy. It is just pure chaos, and I'm trying to stay safe. I would actually like to see the summer, so I'm outside, but not too outside, like not in the city outside. So I saw this TikTok where this guy was like, "Ooh, girl, it really smells like margaritas outside today." And facts, baby girl. So we're going to transition over to our Vibes on Ice segment because we're making spicy margarita mocktails. The recipe will be on our Instagram account, and a little birdie said there may be a video on our TikTok account as well. So make sure you go follow us on both platforms for those behind the scene moments. And that's not all. I have good news and I guess an announcement. We have a playlist. We have a playlist for our Vibes on Ice segment because I just wanted to curate a playlist that makes it easier for you ladies to listen to all of the songs that I mentioned in one spot. So the playlist will be in the show notes for my Apple Music girls, as well as in the description on YouTube for everyone else. I'm sorry, I have not created a playlist for Spotify or Amazon Music, but you can find it on YouTube, friend. You'll be all right. And I don't want to spoil you ladies, but we have 2 songs again this week. I'm not making no promises that you'll always get 2 songs, but you will always at least get 1 song. First song is by my fave, Cleo. So Cleo is my girl. I just love her so much, and I'm so happy that she is finally getting the recognition and the flowers that she definitely deserves. She is just a queen. The song that I'm including in this segment is called Old Friends. It's off of her Heaven album. And if you're not a fan, she dropped 2 albums back to back in the fall. Heaven was her first, not first album, but the first album that she dropped in the fall. And then her second album was called Gold, which was like a birthday present to me because it dropped, I want to say, literally a week before my birthday. Cleo is in a category all by herself. She's a mix of soul, R&B, jazz, and gospel, which we all know by now I love. But the song is about friendship breakups, so very, very fitting. It just goes into the sadness that comes with grieving a friendship that just wasn't for you, that betrayed you. It's honestly just a really, really touching song. And the second song is by another one of my faves, Coda the Friend. He's an independent Brooklyn rapper. I have been a huge fan for years. I believe he's still independent. He may not be based in Brooklyn anymore, but just a very underrated artist. The song is called Photo. It's spelled F-O-T-O, and it's about grieving relationships that once were romantic relationships, friendship ending, having family transition and pass away. I love music with rich lyrics and soul behind it. I think if my overall taste in music has anything in common, it's that I love underground artists that haven't been shaped to be something different by society. But both songs will be on our Vibes on Ice segment, so definitely go check it out. And I'm just running my mouth, so I don't have to start this episode. I will start with this. It's been interesting doing these episodes while staying obedient to the flow and direction of God. This episode was supposed to be episode 5, but God was like, scratch that, we're going in this direction. And I know why. It was definitely his protection. You know, in being a storyteller that shares things from your own life experience, you are constantly picking at your own wounds and putting them on display. And for me, friendship breakups are a touchy topic, especially because I'm still I'm still in the midst of going through friendship breakups. I just went through a season of separation where I had a friendship breakup or a shift in friendship with more than one of my friends, and I just wanted to make sure I didn't get on this mic and let any resentment, bitterness, unforgiveness, or anything like that be the driving force behind what I'm saying. And aside from that, the recovering people pleaser in me is trying to learn how to share my truth and share my experience without feeling like I'm being messy or shady or passive aggressive. You know, I just feel like I am allowed to share my truth and my experiences, and sometimes that means I'm sharing things that people may not agree with or may see differently. I feel like a lot of that comes from me following the B. Simone and Megan Ashley journey. I don't know if you guys have been following it, but I see how people are reacting to just both of them. I will stand on this and say that Christians are some of the most judgmental people. I've seen people dissect both of their characters, and it's just sad, honestly. I think it's mainly B. Simone, and I feel like people forget that she's a celebrity who is walking out this new faith journey with a million eyes on her. And people don't give her grace, and they nitpick any little thing. And I've seen so many people in the comments talking about how she's flesh-led and of the world, and she wasn't a good friend to Megan. We do not know these women. We do not know what happened to their friendship. We don't know we don't know what type of people they are, but like, people are just saying nasty things and tearing this woman apart for being human and being a believer who is transitioning from her past life to this new life with a spotlight on her, which a lot of us have not done. I don't know about y'all, but I was still trying to figure it out, and I was not acting very saved even after I started taking my faith journey more seriously. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure out what my relationship with God looks like for me, because this hypercritical, homosexual, robotic Christianity, it cannot be what Jesus died on the cross for. And I want no parts. They can never make me hate you, Buki. But getting back on topic, I hate how they've dissected their character just because of how they both have two different ways of speaking on their friendship, and why this very popular podcast has ended. And I know it's easy, especially if you're someone who's big on podcasts like me, it's easy to get so like caught up in the midst of it, because podcasts are something where you just like feel connected to the people that you're listening to. And I think people forget that, like, you don't know these people. Stay out of it. You don't know what they're actually like in real life. But I say all that to say, give people grace and space to have different perspectives, and give me some grace because I'm going to need it during this episode. All right, let's really dive in. I didn't know that friendship breakups were a thing at first. I was in this friend group with some girls, and we were all pretty close, but I was super close with this one particular girl out of the group. And, you know, me and her had some run-ins in the past. It wasn't like anything super bad, but we always decided to be friends again after some time had passed. And long story short, she started doing some weirdo things and moving funny, and I just came to the realization that I just didn't like her anymore. We didn't align, we didn't agree. Our morals, values, and principles were just not the same. And so we had this shared friend group, right? So I had to decide if I would be fake for the sake of keeping the peace in the friend group, or just tell her and make things awkward for everybody. And I didn't either. I just started distancing myself, which led to me distancing myself from the entire friend group. And this is not me making an excuse at all, but during that time, that was the time when I was really starting to get serious about my faith journey. So God started separating me anyways, but I can admit I just did not handle the situation the best that I could have. But I do remember Googling like how to end a friendship. How do you break up with a friend? So in short, a friendship breakup is exactly what it sounds like. You are breaking up with a friend like you would a romantic partner, but it's just with one of your friends. It can be messy and they can be super painful, but sometimes you'll realize it's best to end it for a variety of reasons. And you can reference my first episode on why friendships shift. I'm not going to get into all of those reasons again. Now that we know what it is, let's get into the juicy and sometimes messiness on how to prepare for a friendship breakup. From my experience, I'd say be prepared in knowing that even with all the preparation, it still may not go how you thought or how you wanted it to go. Also, be prepared to be hurt by it. Even if you're the one who initiated the split, hearts don't break even at the end of the day. You will still feel it. We'll touch on that a little bit later, but also just know your conflict resolution style. Like, are you someone who can just say what you need to say on the spot, or do you need to write points down and come with your receipts? I am a person who needs to thoroughly process and write my thoughts down. I will usually journal, or I'll do a voice note or a text message to myself, just like reminding myself of what I want to hit on. The last thing you want to do is get into this discussion with this person and become emotionally reactive, nervous system all dysregulated, and just start saying anything because you have a competitive conflict resolution style and you just want to win the battle. Also, be prepared because you're coming with your thoughts and experience of them. They are probably going to share their thoughts and experience of you as well. It's not just about like you getting these things off your chest. In friendship breakups, I feel like the other person is usually like, oh, well, since we're sharing, let me share my experience and perspective on you as well. And it may shock you, sis. So just be prepared for that. I would also say if you got receipts, bring them, because people who feel under attack will gaslight you, weaponize your emotions, they will blame shift and all of the things. And I don't just mean y'all have different perspectives. I mean, they will full on shift the blame on you for something they did wrong, and they will gaslight you and try to call you emotional or sensitive just so they don't have to take accountability for their behavior. And that goes for relationships as well. Just keep an eye out for that. And even just to go a little deeper into that, we all have different worldviews and life perspectives based on how life has humbled us or lifted us up. You know, at the end of the day, you don't know what can of worms you're opening by just coming with your own experience of this person or people. I think friendship breakups hurt so much because it can feel like a rejection and a failure. Rejection, especially if someone is ending the friendship with you. You just don't know what abandonment wounds or rejection wounds you're opening up when you're ending a friendship with someone. So just keep that in mind. They could get angry, defensive, or just emotionally reactive to the point that they just start saying things to hurt you because they're hurting. Even if you're not saying anything that bad, people's abandonment and rejection wounds speak loudly, especially in friendships and relationships. And going off of people having a different worldview and perspective, it is really, really interesting to me that a lot of people don't know that relationships are meant to mold us and be a reflection of us. They're meant to be a mirror to you. They mirror your behavior and the things you can stand to correct about yourself. They also mirror your self-worth. If you're with someone who isn't treating you well and they talk to you crazy or they aren't respecting you, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's probably because you don't respect you. You don't value you. But God also chooses people to come into our lives to be that mirror. I choose you. You're going to be the friend that comes into her life and holds up a mirror, and in turn, she'll notice she's got some behavior that needs correcting. For me, one of my recent friendship breakups, that was something I was upset about. I remember telling my therapist, I'm angry. I'm angry because I didn't speak up enough to tell her about herself. And not in a tell her off, cuss her out kind of way, but I'm angry because she's probably somewhere in this world living her life not knowing she has very weirdo ways and nasty behavior at times that could stand for some correction. And I felt like I missed the mark and didn't complete my assignment. And I know that sounds weird to say, but now she's going to have to enter another relationship where someone else is going to have to tell her because I didn't do it. Because God is going to make a way either way. Okay. And sadly, it could set her back a little and keep her from flourishing in healthier friendships with other women. I struggled with speaking up on issues because in the past, whenever I did, now we got beef, or now the relationship ends. And me with my rejection wounds couldn't stand the idea of someone being upset with me or having a certain narrative about me. But it's like, are you going to like yourself if you keep being the person that keeps letting it slide? If you keep being the person that's making excuses for them, if you keep being the person that's like, oh, she didn't mean it that way. First of all, yes, she did. Catch the shade and stand on business. But on the other end of it, by the time I was annoyed enough to mention it to my friend, they're looking at me crazy like, you've kept this in for so long, so you're not being genuine. And realistically, that was me doing myself a disservice and not being authentic because I was walking in fear of, is she going to think I'm contentious? Is she going to think I'm nitpicking her? Or is the friendship going to be weird because I addressed something that bothered me? I'm to the point where if our friendship has to end because I spoke up about something you did that rubbed me wrong or hurt my feelings, it can end. I'm not gonna shrink myself and let it continue to nip at me to keep you safe while I'm over here suffering. And If you're the type of friend that gets upset because I'm bringing a grievance to you, then that's on you, Boogie. I'm so tired of setting myself on fire just to keep other people warm. And if you're someone who has gone through a lot of friendship breakups, keep your head up, baby girl. It is so easy to spiral and fall into the idea that if I've gone through all of these friendship breakups, it's because I'm the problem. And sometimes God may be trying to open your eyes to correct your behavior about certain things, but also sometimes it's because there are more people who are bad at relationships than they think. People lack self-awareness, accountability, communication skills, and just basic common sense. Like, the common sense ain't in the room half the time. But also, between me and you may have the gift of discerning spirits. That's actually something that I learned about myself in my past friendship breakup. I wasn't sure if I was just being sensitive about certain things, but no, it is literally a spiritual gift. And people who have the gift of discerning spirits are often intentional loners because we pick up on the vibes, the rolling eyes and the shade and the things unspoken behind people's words and actions. And that's why I go to God about people these days, because he can see their true colors before they start showing for real. But if we're not careful, we will stay in friendships out of fear, in a scarcity mindset. I've definitely been there. Or because we don't want to be looked at as the girl who can't keep friends or always has different friends. Definitely been there too. Thing is, the people who think that probably don't even like their own friends for real, and they probably have settled in their friendships. Baby, we are not Drake. If it comes down to it, we're shouting all new friends instead of no new friends. Like, yes, God, snatch that person from my life if you want to. But don't feel bad if you decide to cut a friendship off. You know how people talk about mom guilt? I wonder if friendship guilt is a thing. If you heard it anywhere else, just know I coined the term. But I've felt guilty for cutting people out of my life. Do you hear that bird? Like, go away. Anyways, not because they didn't do anything wrong, but just because we've been so conditioned to hold on to people, even if that means we're not a good fit with them. Here's the thing. Unlike family, friends are people that should be earning and maintaining their spot in your life. Your parents, siblings, cousins, etc., they're your family regardless. Even if you decide to distance yourself from them, they still have that title, like they're still your family. But friends are people you get to make a decision to have a spot and title in your life. And if someone is doing you more harm than good, even if it's mutual and y'all just decide you're not good for each other, I've been there with friends and in dating. Like, even if it's mutual, shut it down. You can't be friendly. Sorry, I'm having Love Island withdrawals. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that forgiveness also has to play a part in friendship breakups. Not just forgiveness for the other person, but forgiving yourself. Before my friendship breakup, I started fasting and praying, and literally a couple days before the talk, I had a dream where I was having a talk with this friend, and God was telling me, like, watch your tone, watch how you say things, because honestly, I'm the type of person who could sugarcoat and dance around things and be super intentional about not stepping on toes or necks. Or I have a tongue like a viper. I will eat you up, no crummies. I can be very harsh and very cold. I know that about myself. I think I've learned to dial it back a lot, these past couple of years, but I may have taken the dream wrong. I took it as God saying, like, don't say certain things, and I will admit I did take a more passive approach. I'm also just very, very intentional now when dealing with other women. I handle them with care. I didn't always used to, but I'm learning to just give myself grace when I miss the mark. Balance and boundaries are not linear. You have to forgive yourself for the times when you miss the mark. Sarah Jakes Roberts preached this sermon. She had on a blue suit. Fun fact, I have a bachelor's of science in fashion merchandising, and you know I'm a fashion girl because I don't remember the name of the sermon, but she had on a royal blue suit and it was cute. It may have been called Miss the Mark. I don't know, but it got me right together. And sometimes you get it right and sometimes you will miss the mark. And you get to say, okay, I'm usually a viper. I was trying to correct my tone and I went a little passive that time. Next time we'll do better. Or I was a little aggressive or passive aggressive that time, but next time we'll change it up. You just got to give yourself grace and forgive yourself. Okay. I just said a whole lot. Let me take a sip of water. Okay. So, I want to mention one more little thing and then we'll move on. In friendship breakups, we often want to control their narratives so bad. Just the idea of someone walking away, feeling a way about us, or having a certain experience of us is dreadful. But their narrative isn't your narrative. 9 times out of 10, their narrative isn't going to match your intentions anyways. That is, like I said, we all have different worldviews and perspectives. So though you may have looked at it from this point of view and that's why it shaped your decision, they may have looked at it from a different point of view, and that's okay. But wanting to control their narrative and experience of you after the fact is gonna drive you crazy and probably hinder you from healing, honestly, because you can't control their narrative. Moving on, let's flip the script and talk about the sadness and heaviness that comes with friendship breakups. It's okay to feel confused and uncertain about what God may be doing in your life in this transition, because honestly, I don't know if you guys have seen the meme, and why did I even bring it up? Because I don't know. I don't remember what it said verbatim. But it says something along the lines of, God is about to take you through a transition and like you're about to get a breakthrough when you go through breakups, job loss, etc., etc. Like I said, I do not remember, so I don't even know why I brought it up. But as Christians or faith followers, sometimes we have a habit of not holding space for our feelings, or I guess that means we don't have enough faith or we're bad Christians. But we spiritually bypass and cover our pain with Bible scriptures and phrases. You can feel what you feel, but still know what you know. There's always going to be isolation, feelings of rejection or abandonment in your Gethsemane. Just ask Jesus. I can't begin to imagine every emotion he went through during what we now consider Holy Week. He was spirit, but was also fully human, and he has the capacity to understand every feeling and emotion we go through. So it's okay to feel your feelings during this friendship breakup. It's okay to feel rejected or taken for granted or abandoned. Your feelings are valid, boo. So make sure you're holding space for your own feelings to feel valid. We live in this culture and generation where everyone is playing the who can care less game, and it is really, really sick behavior. At the end of the day, breakups are tough. So I want to validate your feelings. It's okay to be sad and devastated if your friendship ended. You don't have to put on this tough girl act and pretend like you're okay, or like it didn't affect you at all and you're out living your best life with other friends. Even if you are, breakups of any kind, they hurt. But friendship breakups are tough, especially with your girlfriends, because friendship with our girlfriends is different than the friendship guys have with one another, or with the friendship you have as a woman with a guy friend. Guys have a different relationship with each other where they're not super intertwined in each other's personal lives, and I've literally been around guys where they can call each other fat bees and all is well, sunshine and unicorn rainbow skies. That is not flying in friendships with women. We're naturally just more in tune with our emotions, and we feel more comfortable in articulating our feelings. But aside from that, we confide in our friendships for just so many things. So when the friendship ends or shifts, it literally feels like a piece of us is going with them. And it's sad because it's like she was going to be in my wedding someday. She was going to know my future child. She was going to be there for birthdays, engagement parties, and even the heavy moments. And now this person is erased from the pictures and moments and memories. This person who was going to be present for milestone moments in my life is no longer here. So it's okay to grieve your friendship ending. That is it for me. I feel like I talked about so much. Did we even talk about friendship breakups, or did I just get off topic the entire time? I don't know. I still have so much I could say. Friendship is a topic that you can look at from just so many different angles. So I'm sure this won't be our last episode on friendships shifting and breakups and just all of the craziness that comes with relationship with our friends. But it is beautiful outside, so if you are grieving a friendship breakup, grieving a romantic breakup, or just grieving the life you thought you should have right now, don't forget to be kind to yourself. Don't forget to go outside and experience life. Go out and love this life, even if that means you're going out alone. You deserve to live a life that you love and enjoy. You deserve to be happy, and people deserve to get the opportunity to experience you. You at your core, your beauty, your joy, your light, your goodness, your kindness. Don't rob other people of your sparkle. Go be everything God called you to be. It is springtime now, so go outside and flourish and bloom, my little flowers. Be sure to stay connected with us on our socials. You can find our social media handles in the show notes or the description if you're listening on YouTube. And just remember, it's God's plan and God's will. It helps and it heals. I'll talk to you at our next sleepover. Bye.